Hey there, ADHD entrepreneur. This is Michael Dickey from Flow State Executive Coaching. Today, we're going to be diving in to something that I mean everybody with ADHD, fear and know that it's something that we need to work on, and that is our email inbox. And did I make you throw up in your mouth a little bit? So what today is going to be is the first of a three-part series all about taking control and organizing your inbox for your email and combining that with daily task management software so that we start to create to-do lists and action steps and action items that get things out of our head and into a place where we can remember them but not have to do all the remembering. David Allen, the author of Getting Things Done, says that our brains are for thinking, not for remembering. We fail so many times when we say, oh, I'm going to remember to do that. Your spouse tells you to do something and you say, oh, I'm going to remember that, of course. Do we end up remembering it? No, never. We have to get it out of our head. We have to get it somewhere that we regularly are checking so we know that we have something to do. Get it out of your head. First step is one, give yourself permission to not be remembering everything. When it comes to your email inbox, I feel like the big problem is that we get so overwhelmed with all of the emails that we get. When we have all those emails in there, it's just so much sorting and organizing and categorizing and labeling that we have to do that it just gets us overwhelmed. And also, for a lot of us with ADHD, it's out of sight, out of mind. If I go and actually put that in a category somewhere that's not in my inbox, I'm going to forget it, right? So let's use a system where we're going to treat our email inbox like a to-do list. It's called Inbox Zero. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Gmail today, how to set it up with your Gmail. But let's use your Gmail inbox as a to-do list. And then from there, in parts 2 and 3, we're going to set up using a software, a free software that is a task management software called TickTick to use as an additional to-do list for everything that we do. And how do we incorporate those and what do the workflows look like? It's going to be awesome. First thing, go into your Gmail inbox. I'm curious if you want to leave me a comment about how many emails are in your inbox right now. When I started using this, I had 1,200, and I really avoided going in and cleaning it out, but about twice a year I would go in and empty it. And you know, that's a process in itself. And we avoid doing that, especially when you get thousands and thousands and thousands. So whether you have 1,000, you have 10,000, you have 30,000 emails, this is going to work for you. Okay, so get into your Gmail, and the first thing that we're going to do is go up to your settings up here. Go to See All Settings. You're going to go over to Advanced, and the first thing you're going to do is Enable Auto Advance and click Save Changes. Okay, it's going to pop you back out to your inbox, and it does that a couple times, which is super annoying, and I'm sorry about that. Then you're going to go back to Settings, See All Settings, then you're going to go to General, and I want you to scroll down to Auto Advanced right here, and then I want you to go to the next newer conversation, and then go down a little bit further, and make sure that keyboard shortcuts are on, and then go down and Save Changes. Okay, we're going to go back into Settings and then to See All Settings. We're going to go to Labels. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create 4 new labels. The first one, and I'd like you to do these exactly as I do them because it does matter later. So the first one is going to be called follow up, create. The second one is going to be called waiting. And I know you're just kind of following along right now, but everything is going to make sense here as we start to use them. The third one is going to be read through. And the last one is going to be in tick, tick. Tick, tick is capital T's and one word in tick, tick. Create. Boom. There we go. Now the last thing that we can do is get rid of these stupid categories, which I don't think anybody uses. So if you hide one, you're going to hide all of them, and that's just going to get them off of your menu bar on the side here. So you're going to go down. You don't need to save any changes on this, which is great. Now, if you do have, before we move on, we're talking about labels, if you do have other labels already going for you, this doesn't mean you have to stop using those. Maybe you use them for admin stuff or from a certain sender or receipts. You can keep those. What I would recommend is that once we get back to your inbox, see over here on the side, I didn't have any, this is just kind of a dummy account for me, I didn't have any other labels going on. If you do want to just keep these on the side here, and we're going to get these even looking nicer in just a little bit, but if you do want to keep only these on the side, that's what I would recommend, and all your other labels can be hidden. So if you do have other labels, go back into settings, CL setting, then labels, and then if you have all these other labels in here, you can go in and in the show in label list, which is what this is on the side here, you can hide all of them. Okay, you'll still have them, but they just won't show up on the side here. If you want to keep them, that's great, but I think just having them on the side here and visible with no other clutter is the way to go. Okay, so if you are ready now, we're going to go back into settings, see all settings, and then we're going to go into inbox. And at inbox type here at the very top, I want you to choose multiple inboxes. And I already have these in here because I was tinkering around a little bit. But these have to be exactly how they are written right here in the search query. So the first one, this is a lowercase l. So it's L : follow -up in the search query. And then in the section name is going to be action items. Section 2 is going to be lowercase l : waiting. The section name is going to be awaiting reply. And then section 3 is going to be lowercase l : read -through, and then read through in the section name right there. So these ones on the search query are very important that you write them exactly like I did, because they are exactly like we put the labels over here. And the section names don't matter all that much, but might as well keep them the same. Okay. Once you go down and just make sure that the maximum page size is 10, that's usually a pretty good number. You want the multiple inbox position to be right of the inbox. Now, I don't like to use these importance markers. You can definitely, if you like to, if you use them for a specific purpose and you want to keep them shown, that's great. If not, they're not really helping you and they just make things more complicated. So I would do no markers if you have no preference. And then you're going to go down and save changes. Boom, here we go. Already looking different. Look at that. The last thing that you can do, this is optional. If you don't use Google Chat, you don't really use Google Meet, you can actually get rid of this toolbar on the side here by going into settings, general settings, see all settings, and then chat and meet on here, you can do off. And then you can hide meet section in the main menu, save changes, and when we come back out, that's gone. I like it that way. I do use Google Meet for all my video conferencing, but I don't actually use that side toolbar. So totally up to you. All right, last little bit we're going to do here is we're going to just make these labels on the side look a little bit nicer. So under follow up, you're going to click on the three little dots here. I'm curious, what do you call these three little dots? I've heard three dots. I've heard kebab, which is kind of fun. So I'm just curious what you call them. But for follow-up, we're going to choose a red. And your colors may look different from mine, and that is totally fine, but some kind of red. Okay, and then in tick tick, if that's next for you, I like to do that blue because tick tick is blue. Read through is going to be green. And you have lots of options for green, but I think typically the green with the white font looks the best, and you'll see why in a little bit. And then waiting is going to be yellow, and you know, maybe that one would look good. You don't want white in a light yellow, right? In a white font in the yellow. Hey, that's it. That is the setup for Gmail for Inbox Zero. So now, what do we do with it? What is the workflow? And this is how it works. So you can see over here that we have three different separate sections or separate inboxes, whatever you want to call them. These are where we're going to be holding the important things. Now, before we go on, let's think about what emails actually are. There are really only four different types of emails and four different things we need to be doing with emails. The first one is the stuff where we're going to archive it or delete it because we don't need it. It's junk, it's spam. And really quickly, let me say that if you're getting emails that are spam, you signed up for a free deliverable and you get their daily emails, you never read them. If you get an email more than 3 times, you've never used it, you've never looked at it, you've never opened it, give yourself permission to unsubscribe. Get that out of your inbox, right? So, just a little sidebar. Now, back to the emails. The first one is junk. It's stuff that's not important. It's stuff that doesn't have an action required to it. It's stuff that you're not going to read through over and over again. So it can be deleted. If it's complete junk, it's complete spam. If it's something that you would like to have on hand, you can always archive it. And if you did not know, when you archive an email, it actually just gets put into your all mail folder over here. The second email is an action item. It's something that is telling you to do something. It probably has a deadline. It's just something from someone else. It's something that maybe you sent yourself. It's something that requires you to do action. Most important, right? Because what do? If we have something that tells us, an email that tells us to do an action, if it's in that inbox of 30,000 emails, it's going to get lost. Let's organize that, okay? The third type of email is one where it's information that you want to keep on hand that's come in an email that so that you don't have to search for it over and over again. So it's a resource of some kind. It's a tutorial. It's a video that you watch all the time. It's something that you want to keep on hand because you reference it a lot, okay? And the final one is actually one that you send to someone else that is requiring them to do action, and you are waiting on them to do that action before you can move on, right? How many times have you sent an email to someone to say, hey, do this please, and they don't do it? And because of our ADHD, our follow-through isn't great. It's out of sight, out of mind. We let that lapse. They drop the ball, we drop the ball, project fail, right? So when you're sending an email, we're going to have that go, and it needs someone else to do an action so that you can complete your action because your ass is on the line on that case. It's going to be sitting and waiting reply so that you need to follow up with that. And then later on, we're going to have a simple system where we know when we need to follow up, say, hey, you haven't got me this yet. What's the deal? And then a reminder to remind you when you need to send that email, like requesting that they get their ass in gear, right? So that's what we're doing. What I want you to do is go back about 3 or 4 weeks of emails, and we're going to start this process right now. Okay, so about a month or so back is probably far enough. Anything older than that, you're probably not going to use it. It's probably already gone, whatever you needed to do with it. So I want you to go back, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to start about a month ago in your email inbox. You're going to start at the bottom, and you're going to go through this process. Okay, so you're going to click on one. This is just spam from YouTube TV. So I could unsubscribe, which I'm going to do that right now. And I don't want to actually do this right now while you're waiting for me. But you can do this unsubscribe. You can also scroll down usually at the bottom and do an unsubscribe down here somewhere. So, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete it. You can also archive it. Now, when you're in this setting, we turned on the keyboard shortcuts, the hotkeys, whatever you want to call them. You can hit the E and it archives it automatically. And then because we set up auto advance, it goes right to the next email above it. So that's why you start at the bottom. Okay, here's an email. Oh, right in the subject line, action required. Probably means I got to do something, right? So, hi, Michael, can you please confirm the numbers on account number 45678 from Q4? Please get that back to me by the end of the week. Thanks, Mike. Okay, great. So I know that this is something that I have to do. So we know that E is archive, but I want to add one of the labels, the action item follow up label on there, okay? So you can do that with a hotkey by hitting V. I'm going to label that follow up. What that does, V adds the label follow up, and it also archives it at the same time. Now watch this. It's archived, but I'm going to go back to my inbox. I'm going to reload, and you can actually do that in a Mac computer by Command R or a PC, Control R, and you're going to see where's that email. It's right over here in my action items. It's got a follow-up, nice red with a white font, so I know that that is something I have to do. Boom. Awesome, huh? Okay, so next email, I'm going up. Hey, Michael, here is the Inbox Zero Flow State Super System step-by-step instructions. Ooh, that is something that I want to have on hand so that I can go back through that every once in a while. So I'm going to hit V, read through, because this is a reference that I want to read through often. It's going to be in that section on the side under read through, and then I auto advanced right to the next one. So another YouTube TV. Let's delete that bad boy. Oh, Gemini Bard is now Gemini. Sweet. Okay. Great. I don't really need that anymore. Not very helpful, so I'm going to delete that. Something from Reddit about ska music and TikTok and other things. Delete. YouTube TV. Should have unsubscribed, shouldn't I? E for archive. E for archive. And boom, my inbox is empty. I have my read through right here. I can click on that. It opens it up. There's the resource. Go right back to my inbox. Here's my action item. Go back to my inbox. Beautiful. Okay, so we've covered 3 of the 4. Remember, the 4th one was when I send an email to someone else. So I have already crafted an email. I have it in my drafts, but here it is. So I'm sending this to this other super cool guy, Michael at Flow State Executive Coaching. Action required. I put that in there so that he knows that this is something he has to do. Venkman and Spengler Financials. Hi, Mike. Can you please send me the financials on the Venkman and Spengler accounts for Q1 by next Friday? I need it for my presentation. Thanks. So I want to send this, but I also want to set it as a label as waiting, as a waiting reply, right? So it goes into there so I know to remember to follow up if I haven't gotten it by Friday. Or Thursday, really. So what you do is you hit the kebab, you go to label, you go waiting, apply, send. Okay, and then you can go back to your inbox always by hitting GI, Command R for reload, and you're going to see, boom, there it is. So now, further down in step 2 and 3 of this, in part 2 and 3, we're going to talk about what you do so that you remember. While you're waiting, what you can do is you can always just add this to tasks. If you use, like in your calendar, Google Calendar, you can add it as a task. You can name it whatever. Follow up with Mike if I haven't heard by Thursday. You set the date and the time, Thursday at 9 a.m. So I'm going to add that task in there. and it's going to notify me on my calendar, hey, basically saying at 9 a.m. on Thursday, if you haven't gotten the reports back that I wanted from Mike, then you need to follow up with him. Cool, right? We have a little bit better system, but if you use Google Tasks or Google Calendar, this is a great way to do it too. So we're going to go back to my inbox, and you'll see that they're all 3 waiting there. Okay, so now what do you do when you have actually, I sent this email to Michael, I've done this action item, what do you do? Well, you're going to just go up here and remove that label, and then hit E to archive it, and it's automatically out of that section, okay? So I immediately got the reports that I needed, so I'm not waiting on Mike to send those to me anymore. Take that label off, archive that bad boy, boom. Now read through, they're gonna stay in there, so you don't need to worry about removing them unless it's not relevant anymore. Then obviously it's the same thing. You open it up, click that little X, hit E to archive, you're good to go. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is what if you get an email that is an action item for you to do, but you don't need to do it in the next week? Well, Google has something for you. You can snooze it. So here's one. Here's an email that just came in. Hey, Mike, can you get me the Q2 reports on Spengler and Venkman on July 2nd of 2024? I don't need them yet, but I wanted to get this out there before I forget. Thanks. So I don't have anything to do until July 2nd, okay? So what you can do is you can hit B, which is snooze. There's also this snooze button right up here. Either way, it does the same thing, B. And I can pick the date and the time, and I'm gonna say July 2 at 8 a.m. That email will come back into my inbox at that exact time. So it's out of my inbox, but it's not just sitting in my action items, just taking up space. And then at the date that you choose and the time that you choose, it's gonna pop right back up in your inbox. So it's not taking up all that space. You know the workflow, we figured that out. We started a month ago and you've worked through that. So you still have some emails in your inbox, but they're older than 1 month, right? So what do we do with those, Mike? What do we do? Here's where, before I tell you, I want you to close your eyes. You're going to take a deep breath. Are you doing it? You should do it. Okay. What I'm going to have you do is go back to your inbox, use this little jobby right here, select all of them, and archive them. You're not deleting them. You're still going to have them. They're going to be archived. More than likely, you don't need them, right? But you're going to have them if you do. So if you ever do need them after you've archived them, you're going to go to all mail, and they're going to be hanging out in there. Okay? But once you do that, we've figured out the last 4 weeks, you've organized them, you've gone through the workflow. If there are other ones that are older than that in there that you know of, before you do this, you want to go and find them and do a little more organizing with the action items or waiting reply or read through or whatever, or snooze. You can totally do that, but let's just give yourself permission to get those out of your inbox, because look at this. Look at what this looks like. There's no clutter. And yes, it's a process to get through it. I would give yourself at least an hour to go through all of this before you actually do it. If you did it with me as I went along, that's great, you're done. But once it's done, I mean, look at what you can do. So now you might have some things in your action items. Those are things you're going to be putting on your to-do list so that you actually do those things. Okay? Awaiting reply. Those that are in there, you're going to be setting a reminder on your calendar for now until we get into the part 2 and part 3, so that you can, before you actually need the response from that person, you're going to be setting a reminder to check in with them to say, hey, where is this? A day or two before you need it done, just in case. If they send it to you before that, you go in and you remove that tag and you archive it. Boom, beautiful. Okay, so work on this, get through it, give yourself permission to just let these go. You don't need them. You still have them, but you don't need them in front of you. Okay, so go through that. Let me know what you think. You have all your hotkeys. V, just a quick reminder, V is for archive and label. If you just want to label something else, you're going to you can hit the L and then label it. And that's going to be super important to label things later. If you are using other labels for like receipts or financials or something, you can still do V, action items, and that other label that you like to use. You can keep them. So it works with whatever you're doing. It's just going to make it so much more simpler by getting all that junk out of your inbox and actually using the emails based on what you have to do with them, not based on just letting them sit there because I don't know how to organize them. Sometimes you have so many labels and such an immense system of labels that it just becomes overwhelming. But it's kind of this and it's kind of this and I don't know. So we just avoid doing it and we leave it in our inbox. Give yourself permission to organize your emails by what you have to do with them and no other way. Okay? So good luck with that, and I'll see you soon for part 2 and part 3.